The grand ballroom of the Crystal Peak Hotel shimmered under the glow of 1,000 lights. Chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls from the ceiling, casting rainbow reflections across the polished marble floors. The annual Horizon Foundation Gala had transformed the space into something magical, where the city's elite gathered in their finest attire. Women wore gowns that cost more than cars, while men adjusted cufflinks worth small fortunes. The air smelled of expensive perfume, fresh roses, and ambition. Victoria Hayes stood near the entrance, one hand resting on her rounded belly. At 7 months pregnant, she had carefully chosen a flowing emerald dress that complemented her auburn hair. The fabric draped elegantly, hiding how uncomfortable she felt in heels that pinched her swollen feet. Her makeup artist had worked for an hour to create the perfect look, but Victoria felt tired behind the carefully applied foundation and lipstick. Claire, her best friend and business partner, adjusted Victoria's necklace with gentle fingers. The diamond pendant caught the light as it settled against her collarbone. Claire had been worried about Victoria attending tonight, expressing concern multiple times during the drive over. "You should be home with your feet up, not standing in a crowded ballroom," Claire whispered, her brown eyes filled with protective concern. She wore a simple black dress that made her look professional and elegant. Victoria smiled, though the expression felt heavy. "Nathan asked me to be here. This gala is important for Sterling Properties. He's making a major announcement tonight about the Riverside project. I need to support him." Claire's jaw tightened slightly, but she said nothing more. She had never fully trusted Nathan Sterling, though she kept those opinions mostly to herself. There was something about Victoria's husband that seemed too smooth, too polished, like a surface that reflected everything but revealed nothing. Across the ballroom, Nathan Sterling commanded attention without effort. At 35, he possessed the kind of confidence that made people listen when he spoke. His custom navy suit fit perfectly across his shoulders, and his dark hair was styled with precision. He had built Sterling Properties from a single office into an empire worth millions, and tonight represented his crowning achievement. The Riverside project would transform an abandoned industrial area into luxury condominiums, securing his reputation as a visionary developer. He stood on the raised platform at the front of the room, surrounded by investors and city officials. A glass of champagne rested in his hand, though he barely sipped it. Nathan knew how to work a room, moving from group to group with practiced ease, his laugh warm and his handshake firm. People gravitated toward him naturally, drawn by success and charisma. The evening progressed with dinner service and speeches from various foundation members. Victoria sat at a table near the front, Claire beside her, picking at salmon that tasted like cardboard. Her back ached, and the baby had been kicking for the past hour. She watched Nathan network, feeling strangely disconnected from the man she had married 5 years ago. Finally, the master of ceremonies approached the microphone, tapping it gently to get everyone's attention. The room gradually quieted, conversations fading to whispers, and then silence. Hundreds of faces turned toward the stage expectantly. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our evening's host and the visionary behind the Riverside project, Nathan Sterling!" Applause erupted through the ballroom. Nathan climbed the stairs to the stage with athletic grace, waving to acknowledge the crowd. The spotlight followed him, making him glow like something untouchable. Victoria watched her husband, trying to feel pride but finding only emptiness. Nathan approached the microphone with his signature smile, the one that had convinced banks to loan him millions and investors to trust him with their money. His voice carried clearly through the sound system, strong and assured. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Your support means everything, not just to me, but to this entire city. The Riverside project represents more than development. It represents hope, transformation, and the future we're building together." The audience responded with enthusiastic applause. Camera flashes erupted from the press section. Nathan paused, letting the moment build, understanding the power of silence before a big reveal. Tonight I want to share something personal with all of you." His tone shifted, becoming more intimate. The crowd leaned forward unconsciously. Building an empire requires sacrifice, dedication, and sometimes the courage to be honest about what truly matters. Victoria felt a cold sensation creep up her spine. Something in his voice sounded wrong, like a note played slightly off-key. She gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles turning white. Nathan gestured toward the wings of the stage. "I want to introduce someone who has been instrumental in making the Riverside Project a reality. Someone who has shown me what true partnership means." A woman emerged from backstage into the spotlight. Bianca Foster was 28 and stunning, with platinum blonde hair styled in waves that cascaded over bare shoulders. Her red dress hugged every curve, and her smile held secrets. She had been Sterling Properties' public relations manager for 8 months, appearing in promotional materials and press conferences. Everyone recognized her immediately. Gasps rippled through the audience. Victoria's breath caught in her throat. Claire grabbed her hand under the table, squeezing hard. Bianca walked toward Nathan with slow, deliberate steps, her heels clicking against the stage floor. The musicians in the orchestra pit faltered, notes becoming discordant. The room held, its collective breath sensing something unprecedented about to unfold. Nathan took Bianca's hand, drawing her close until their bodies touched. The cameras went wild, flashes creating a strobe effect. The live stream broadcasting the event captured every moment in high definition. "Bianca," Nathan said, his voice soft but amplified by the microphone. "You've changed everything for me. You've shown me what it means to feel alive again." Before anyone could process those words, Nathan tilted Bianca's chin upward and kissed her. Not a polite kiss, not a staged moment for publicity. It was deep, passionate, and unmistakably intimate. His hand moved to the small of her back, pulling her closer. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Some people gasped loudly, while others sat frozen in shock. A champagne flute slipped from someone's grasp and shattered against the floor, the sound, sharp and final. Phones appeared instantly, everyone recording the scandal unfolding before them. Victoria felt the world tilt sideways. Her vision blurred at the edges and her ears filled with a rushing sound like ocean waves. The baby kicked hard against her ribs, as if protesting the sudden spike in her heart rate. She pressed both hands against her belly instinctively, protective, even in her shock. Claire stood immediately, positioning herself between Victoria and the stage. "We're leaving. Now." But Victoria couldn't move. She stared at the stage, watching her husband kiss another woman in front of 800 people. Every camera in the room captured her humiliation, broadcasting it live to thousands watching online. Her marriage was ending in real time, witnessed by the entire city. Nathan finally broke the kiss but kept his arm around Bianca's waist. He faced the audience with defiance burning in his eyes, as if daring anyone to challenge him. His voice rang out clear and unapologetic. "I'm done pretending. Victoria and I have been living separate lives for months. She wanted the image of success, but I needed something real. Bianca and I are building something genuine, something that cannot be hidden anymore." The words hit Victoria like physical blows. Each sentence carved deeper into her chest, stealing her breath. The room spun, and she gripped the table to keep from falling. At a table near the back, Oliver Grant watched the scene with cold fury. At 40, he was Nathan's primary business competitor, CEO of Grant Development Corporation. He had always found Nathan arrogant and ruthless, but this display crossed every line of decency. Oliver's gray eyes moved from the stage to Victoria, seeing her pale face and trembling hands. He stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Without hesitation, Oliver walked through the stunned crowd toward Victoria's table. People moved aside for him, recognizing his authority and purpose. Victoria felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. She looked up to find Oliver Grant standing beside her, his expression serious but kind. "Mrs. Hayes," he said quietly, "let me help you leave, with dignity." Victoria accepted Oliver's hand, her legs trembling as she stood. The ballroom continued its chaotic response to Nathan's confession. Whispers multiplied into loud conversations. Phones remained raised, capturing every second. The scandal would dominate headlines by morning, but right now, Victoria needed to escape. Claire gathered Victoria's clutch and wrap, moving efficiently despite her own shock. Oliver positioned himself between Victoria and the crowd, creating a protective barrier with his presence. His height and commanding demeanor made people step back instinctively. "Keep your head up," Oliver said softly, guiding Victoria toward the side exit. "Don't let them see you break. Not here, not now." Victoria straightened her spine, drawing on reserves of strength she didn't know existed. She walked through the ballroom with deliberate grace, one hand on her belly, the other accepting Oliver's steady arm. Camera flashes exploded around them, but she kept her eyes forward, refusing to look back at the stage where Nathan still stood with Bianca. Behind them, the gala dissolved into complete disorder. Guests abandoned their tables, rushing toward the exits or clustering in groups to discuss what they had witnessed. Reporters shouted questions toward the stage, but Nathan had already disappeared backstage with Bianca. The event organizers scrambled to regain control, but the damage was done. The Horizon Foundation Gala would be remembered not for charity, but for betrayal. Oliver led Victoria through a service corridor away from the main crowd. Claire followed close behind, already on her phone making urgent calls. The hallway was quiet, insulated from the chaos, lit by harsh fluorescent lights that felt jarring after the ballroom's soft ambiance. Halfway down the corridor, Victoria stopped abruptly. Her breathing became rapid and shallow. Pain shot through her abdomen, sharp and frightening. She leaned against the wall, pressing her hand to her stomach. "Something's wrong," she gasped, fear cutting through the shock. "The baby." Oliver immediately pulled out his phone, dialing emergency services while supporting Victoria with his other arm. His voice remained calm and authoritative as he spoke to the dispatcher, providing their location and situation. Claire positioned herself beside Victoria, offering comforting words while silently panicking inside. The ambulance arrived within 8 minutes. Paramedics rushed through the service entrance with a stretcher and medical equipment. They checked Victoria's vital signs quickly, noting her elevated blood pressure and stress levels. After a brief assessment, they determined immediate hospital transport was necessary. As the paramedics prepared Victoria for transport, Oliver made another call to his assistant. "I need a private room arranged at Mercy General Hospital. Best obstetrician available. Security at the door. Handle it immediately." The ambulance ride passed in a blur. Claire held Victoria's hand while paramedics monitored her continuously. Oliver followed in his car, already mobilizing resources to ensure Victoria received the best possible care. By the time they arrived at Mercy General, a private suite had been prepared, and Dr. Rachel Kim, one of the city's top maternal-fetal specialists, was waiting. Hours later, Victoria lay in the hospital bed, exhausted but stable. Dr. Kim had performed thorough examinations and confirmed the baby was healthy. Victoria's blood pressure had been dangerously elevated due to stress, but medication had brought it under control. The doctor insisted on keeping her for observation, at least 48 hours. Claire dozed in the chair beside the bed, her hand still holding Victoria's. Oliver stood by the window, his phone pressed to his ear as he spoke quietly with someone. Dawn light filtered through the blinds, painting the room in shades of gray and gold. Victoria watched Oliver, this man who was supposed to be Nathan's competitor, someone she barely knew beyond professional functions. Yet he had spent the entire night ensuring her safety and comfort. He had arranged everything, asked for nothing, and treated her with more respect in 6 hours than Nathan had. shown in months. When Oliver ended his call, he noticed Victoria was awake. He approached the bed carefully, his expression serious. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Like my entire life just exploded," Victoria answered honestly. Her voice was hoarse from crying, but her eyes were dry now. She had no tears left. Oliver pulled a chair closer and sat down. "Victoria, I need to tell you something. My legal team has been working through the night. We've discovered irregularities in Sterling Properties' financial records." Victoria's attention sharpened. "What kind of irregularities?" "Nathan has been moving money from your joint architectural projects into personal accounts. Shell companies, offshore holdings. We're talking about significant amounts, money that should have been shared profits from your designs." The information landed like another blow, but Victoria felt anger now instead of pain. Anger was better. Anger had direction and purpose. "How much?" she asked. "Potentially millions. Your firm, Hayes Design Group, collaborated on 3 major Sterling Properties projects over the past 2 years. Nathan structured the contracts to pay you less than market value, then siphoned additional profits through fraudulent billing and fake subcontractors." Claire stirred awake, immediately alert. She had heard Oliver's words and sat forward, fury replacing sleepiness. "That bastard," Claire hissed. "Victoria, we suspected he was underpaying us, but I never imagined outright theft." Oliver opened his tablet, displaying financial documents his team had compiled. "This is enough for criminal charges, fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion. But there's more. We found communications between Nathan and Bianca going back 14 months. This affair has been happening since before your pregnancy." Victoria studied the documents, her mind processing information with surprising clarity. The shock was wearing off, replaced by cold calculation. She had built Hayes Design Group from nothing, her architectural talent recognized nationally. She had brought Nathan clients, enhanced his reputation through her work, and he had repaid her with lies and theft. "I want the best divorce attorney in the city," Victoria said, her voice steady. "Someone ruthless." Oliver smiled slightly, approving of her resolve. "I already called Thomas Webb. He's expecting to hear from you this morning. He's represented several high-profile divorces, never lost a case." A knock at the door interrupted them. A woman in her 50s entered, dressed in a professional gray suit. She carried a leather briefcase and had the sharp eyes of someone who missed nothing. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm Thomas Webb. Mr. Grant briefed me on your situation. I believe we can build a very strong case against your husband." Over the next hour, Thomas Webb outlined strategy. They would file for divorce immediately, citing adultery and emotional cruelty. Simultaneously, they would pursue criminal charges for financial fraud. Victoria would seek full custody of the baby, child support, and majority stake in their shared business interests. They would expose every lie, every affair, every fraudulent transaction, but Thomas warned it wouldn't be easy. Nathan had resources, connections, and a ruthless streak. He would fight back viciously. The legal battle could become brutal. Victoria listened to everything, absorbing details and asking sharp questions. Her architectural training had taught her to think systematically, to solve complex problems by breaking them into manageable pieces. She would approach this divorce the same way. Her phone, which had been turned off since the hospital, suddenly buzzed with notifications. Claire picked it up, her eyes widening as she scrolled through messages. "Victoria, you need to see this. Social media is exploding. The hashtag about last night is trending worldwide. But there's something else. A journalist named Jennifer Price just published an article. She interviewed 3 other women who claim Nathan had affairs with them during business deals." Victoria took the phone, reading the article quickly. Jennifer Price had been investigating Nathan for months, following rumors of misconduct. Last night's public scandal had given her the opportunity to publish. The article detailed a pattern of behavior, painting Nathan as a serial cheater who used relationships to advance business interests. "This is perfect," Thomas Webb said, reading over Victoria's shoulder. "Public opinion is crucial in cases like this. Nathan's reputation is already damaged. We need to keep pressure on him while building our legal case." Oliver added his own insight. "Several investors have already called me this morning. They're concerned about Nathan's judgment and stability. The Riverside project depends on their continued financial support. If we can demonstrate he's a liability, they'll withdraw funding." Victoria saw the strategy forming. They would attack Nathan on multiple fronts simultaneously: legal, financial, and public relations. He had humiliated her in front of the world. She would dismantle everything he built piece by piece, using the same ruthless tactics he had employed against others. "Let's do it," Victoria said firmly. "All of it. I want him to understand exactly what he lost when he chose to betray me." The meeting continued for another hour, plans taking shape, documents being prepared. When everyone finally left to begin executing their various tasks, Victoria sat alone in the quiet hospital room. Her hand rested on her belly, feeling the baby move inside her. Nathan had made a critical mistake. He had assumed she was weak, that she would accept humiliation quietly, that her pregnancy made her vulnerable. He had forgotten that she was the architect behind many of his most successful projects, the strategist who solved impossible design problems, the woman who built a respected firm while he took credit. Now she would show him what real strength looked like. The revenge wouldn't be emotional or impulsive. It would be calculated, devastating, and absolutely complete. 3 weeks after the gala, Victoria sat in Thomas Webb's conference room, surrounded by stacks of documents that represented Nathan's downfall. Financial records, witness statements, photographs, and communications covered every surface. The evidence was overwhelming, meticulously organized, and utterly damning. Thomas stood at the head of the table, pointing to a timeline displayed on the wall screen. "We have documentation of 8 separate affairs over 3 years. Bianca was just the latest. We have proof Nathan embezzled $4.2 million from joint projects. We have testimony from contractors he defrauded. This isn't just a divorce case anymore. The district attorney is filing criminal charges." Victoria absorbed the information calmly. She had spent the past 3 weeks transforming grief into strategy. Her pregnancy kept her grounded, reminding her that she was fighting not just for herself, but for her child's future. She refused to bring a baby into a world where Nathan Sterling held any power over them. Oliver entered the conference room carrying coffee and a folder of additional documents. Over the past weeks, he had become Victoria's strongest ally. His resources, connections, and business acumen had been invaluable. But more than that, he treated her with genuine respect, never expecting gratitude or trying to take advantage of her vulnerability. "I have news," Oliver said, distributing coffee before sitting down. 3 major investors pulled out of the Riverside project this morning. Without their funding, Nathan cannot proceed. The project is dead. A grim satisfaction flickered across Victoria's face. The Riverside project had been Nathan's obsession, his masterpiece, the development that would cement his legacy. Now it would become the monument to his failure. Claire arrived moments later, laptop open and displaying spreadsheets. Hayes Design Group officially severed all contracts with Sterling Properties yesterday. We're filing liens against 2 properties, where Nathan still owes us payment. Additionally, I received calls from 4 other developers wanting to work with us. Your reputation is stronger than ever, Victoria. People see you as the talent behind Sterling's success. The meeting continued for hours, refining strategy and preparing for the upcoming court proceedings. Nathan's attorneys had been aggressive, filing motions and making threats, but they were fighting a losing battle. The evidence was too strong, too comprehensive. Later that evening, Victoria returned to the penthouse apartment she had shared with Nathan. He was gone, living in a hotel since she had obtained a restraining order. The space felt different now, emptier but also cleaner, as if his absence had purified the air. She walked through rooms filled with expensive furniture and curated art, remembering the woman she had been 6 months ago, that Victoria had believed in her marriage, trusted her husband, and prioritized his dreams alongside her own. That woman seemed like a stranger now. Her phone rang. The caller ID showed Bianca Foster's number. Victoria hesitated, then answered. "Victoria, please don't hang up." Bianca's voice was tight with distress. "I need to talk to you. Nathan lied to me about everything." Victoria remained silent, letting Bianca continue. "He told me you were separated, that the marriage was over long before I arrived. He said you only stayed together for business appearances. I believed him because I wanted to. But after the gala, I discovered the truth. You were trying to make the marriage work. You were planning a future together. He used me to humiliate you publicly." "Why are you telling me this?" Victoria asked, her tone neutral. "Because he's doing it again. He started seeing someone else 2 days after the gala, a client's daughter, barely 23 years old. He told her the same lies he told me. Nathan doesn't love anyone. He collects people and discards them when they're no longer useful." Bianca's voice cracked. "I lost everything. Sterling Properties fired me. My reputation in PR is destroyed. Clients won't return my calls. I was so stupid, so blind. He promised me everything and gave me nothing but shame." Victoria listened to Bianca's confession, hearing genuine remorse beneath the self-pity. She didn't forgive Bianca for her role in the betrayal, but she understood being manipulated by Nathan's charisma and lies. "Thomas Webb is my attorney," Victoria said finally. "If you want to make this right, give him your testimony. Tell the truth about everything Nathan did and said. Help me ensure he never destroys another woman." Bianca agreed immediately, desperate for any chance at redemption. 2 months later, the divorce trial began in Judge Patricia Morrison's courtroom. The proceedings attracted massive media attention. Every seat in the gallery was filled with reporters, legal observers, and people fascinated by the scandal. Nathan arrived with his legal team, dressed impeccably in a charcoal suit. He maintained his confident demeanor, but Victoria noticed tension in his jaw, shadows under his eyes. His business was collapsing, investors had abandoned him, and criminal charges loomed. Victoria sat beside Thomas Webb, 8 months pregnant now, wearing a navy blue dress that emphasized her condition. She had chosen the outfit deliberately, reminding everyone watching that Nathan had betrayed not just his wife, but his unborn child. Thomas presented evidence methodically over 3 days. Financial records showed systematic fraud. Emails revealed Nathan's manipulation and lies. Contractors testified about fake invoicing schemes. The case built like a fortress, each piece of evidence reinforcing the others. On the 4th day, Bianca took the stand. She looked diminished, stripped of the confidence she had displayed at the gala. Under oath, she detailed her affair with Nathan, confirming he had lied about his marriage, promised her a future he never intended to deliver, and used their relationship to secure business deals. "He told me Victoria was cold, distant, that their marriage was a business arrangement," Bianca testified. "He showed me text messages that I later learned were fabricated. He made me believe I was saving him from an unhappy situation. I realize now I was just another tool he used for his own advancement." Nathan's attorney attempted to discredit Bianca, but her testimony was too detailed, too consistent with other evidence. The damage was done. The most devastating testimony came from Henry Campbell, Nathan's former business partner from 10 years, Ago. Henry had built a successful construction company before partnering with Nathan on an early development project. The partnership had ended badly, with Henry losing his company and nearly declaring bankruptcy. Henry took the stand with quiet dignity, explaining how Nathan had used similar tactics against him. Fraudulent accounting, hidden fees, manipulated contracts. "Nathan Sterling has one skill," Henry testified. He identifies people with talent and resources, gains their trust, then systematically strips away everything they've built. He did it to me. He did it to Victoria. He'll do it to anyone who gets close to him. Judge Morrison listened to everything with stern attention. When both sides rested their cases, she took only 24 hours to issue her ruling. The courtroom was packed for the verdict. Victoria sat calmly, her hand on her belly where the baby kicked regularly now. Oliver sat behind her in the gallery, offering silent support. Claire was beside him, nervously gripping a notebook. Judge Morrison read her decision with cold precision. Mr. Sterling, the evidence presented in this case reveals a pattern of fraud, manipulation, and cruel behavior that shocks the conscience of this court. You betrayed your wife's trust, stole from your business partners, and showed complete disregard for your family obligations. She awarded Victoria full custody of the unborn child, substantial child support, alimony, and a 60% stake in all jointly owned properties and business interests. Additionally, she ordered Nathan to pay Victoria's legal fees and restitution for the embezzled funds. Furthermore, Judge Morrison continued, I am referring this case to the District Attorney's Office for criminal prosecution. The evidence of fraud and embezzlement warrants serious criminal investigation. Nathan's face drained of color. His attorneys whispered urgently, but there was nothing they could do. The ruling was comprehensive and devastating. Victoria left. The courthouse, with her head high, Thomas and Oliver flanking her protectively. Reporters shouted questions, but she ignored them. She had won completely, utterly, without compromise. 6 months passed. Victoria stood in the modern office space of Hayes Design Group, now relocated to a prestigious downtown building. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and the walls displayed architectural renderings of current projects. The firm had tripled in size, hiring talented designers and securing major contracts. Oliver had become a business partner and investor, his Grant Development Corporation collaborating with Hayes Design Group on multiple projects. Their partnership was professional and respectful, built on mutual admiration and shared values. In the corner office, a bassinet held Victoria's 3-month-old daughter, Lily. The baby slept peacefully, her tiny fingers curled into fists. Victoria had given birth to a healthy girl, and every time she looked at Lily, she felt overwhelming love and fierce protectiveness. Nathan Sterling had lost everything. Criminal prosecution resulted in a conviction for fraud and embezzlement. He served 18 months in minimum security prison and was released with nothing. Sterling properties had been liquidated, assets sold to pay debts and legal judgments. His reputation was destroyed beyond repair. Last Victoria heard, he was working as a property manager in a different state, stripped of the empire he had built through lies and manipulation. Claire entered the office with coffee and a smile. We just secured the Thompson Tower project. That's the 3rd major contract this month. Hayes Design Group is officially one of the top architectural firms in the region. Victoria accepted the coffee gratefully, moving to check on Lily. Her daughter stirred but didn't wake, her peaceful expression making Victoria's heart swell. Oliver arrived for their weekly planning meeting, carrying blueprints and a tablet filled with project proposals. Over the months, their professional relationship had evolved into genuine friendship. He never pushed for anything more, respecting Victoria's need for independence and healing. Ready to change the city skyline? Oliver asked with a slight smile. Victoria looked out the window at the city she loved, then down at her sleeping daughter. She had survived betrayal, fought back with intelligence and courage, and built something better from the ruins of her marriage. Nathan had taken her trust and love, then thrown them away publicly. In return, she had taken everything that mattered to him: his business, his reputation, his freedom, and his future. The revenge had been perfect because it was earned, justified, and complete. But more importantly, Victoria had discovered her own strength. She didn't need Nathan's name or connections. She never had. Her talent, intelligence, and integrity were enough. Yes, Victoria answered, her voice strong and certain. Let's build something extraordinary.